Hello, Teacher Tina here, and I don't know about you, but my favorite thing about VIPKid is the kids. And so today I'm talking about how to attract and maintain regular students. So I love my regular students, that's no secret to anybody, but one of the main concerns that I hear from other teachers is that sometimes they'll feel like they had a really great class and maybe the student rebooks a time or two, but then the student disappears. And the teacher's left wondering, was it something I did, something I didn't do? What could I have done differently to keep my student coming back for more? Now, of course, it's not always something the teacher did or didn't do. Sometimes I think the student just is no longer taking VIPKid classes or is on vacation, or, maybe the parents had planned on jumping around from teacher to teacher and it was nothing that you did. But I think I have some special things that you can be doing to improve your chances of getting the same students again and again. So I'm really excited to share these tips with you. Be sure that you stick around until the end too, because I'm sharing kind of a controversial idea that has gotten a lot of people talking. But basically, I'm going to be showing you slides today because I know that many of my viewers are visual learners, and I'm a visual and a kinesthetic learner. In case you couldn't tell, I move around a lot. But anyway, let's talk about what you can do to increase your regular students and keep them coming back for more. Okay, so let's get started. Welcome. Be sure that you stick around. Okay, how to attract and maintain regular students. Really what it comes down to is that you need to consciously choose what you do before, during, and after each and every class. Now I know that sounds like a lot of time, so hear me out. It is a minimal investment that you are making in the long run. Because think about it, if you get these regular students, not only will you probably love them to no end, but it's building your business. They are repeat customers if they keep coming back to you, and we all want those bookings, right? Okay, so let's talk through this. Before class, here are the tangible things that you can be doing before class that will help lead to your success. First, you need to know the slides. I do not suggest winging it, especially not with a new student, okay? So I do have a video about this, so I'm not going into too much detail, so be sure to check for that video on how to prepare for classes. It's, again, very time-efficient preparation. The next thing you need to do before class is preload the slides. This is kind of an insider tip that a lot of people don't know about, and I actually just created a video about this, so be sure that you look. There is a way that you can preload all of the slides before class so that you're not as rushed going into your next class and the student can see that you have already been in the classroom. So definitely check that video out too. Also before class, you need to test your equipment. That is critical. If the parents see that you are fumbling with your equipment and that's their first impression of you, wow. Now, if I had started this video and you hadn't been able to hear me, you probably would not have kept watching, right? And you probably would have thought, wow, this chick does not have her stuff figured out. I'm not watching her videos. So yeah, I understand the importance of checking your tech, and you should too. Okay, also before a class, you need to have your props and rewards handy. That means that you're not in class going like this, this, and that, and you know where everything is before you start that class. So yes, it takes a little bit of prep work, but once you get in the habit of doing these things before class, it will be like second nature to you, okay? So have your props and rewards handy, and then you also want to check your background and your appearance. Now, be very, very careful with this last point. I have a little story to share with you about this last point of how I ended up getting a 4 apple rating with no comment, but I think no comment was needed because I deserved that 4 apple. Here's what happened. So I had a new student named Jerry, an 11-year-old boy. I had never taught this student before, and honestly I was a little bit nervous because at this point in my teaching I had pretty much been teaching a younger crowd than that. And actually the class right before Jerry, I had one of my regular students, a 4-year-old named Sophia. And I absolutely love my classes with Sophia. I'm so comfortable with her. I was nervous for the next class. I got into the next classroom, I checked my setup, I checked my equipment, I knew everything was good to go, and then I opened up my camera and I was still wearing a crown. I was wearing a crown from the previous class with Sophia. I was petrified. And the parents gave me 4 apples with no explanation. I can almost guarantee they gave me that rating because they thought I was not prepared for the class. I had done all of the prep work, but I was still wearing a crown. Let this be a lesson to you that you should check and make sure everything looks good before you open your camera. So if you decide, you may want to have a mirror handy. It doesn't need to be a handheld mirror. I actually use this as a prop more than anything, but have some kind of mirror nearby that you can just make sure that you don't have lipstick on your teeth if you're a lipstick wearer, or that your hair is not like all askew. You know, there are things that you should be checking, and it only takes a second to make sure that everything looks okay before you get into the next class. Okay, and I have a little note here at the bottom that by successfully preparing, you're preparing for success. You only get one chance at a first impression with these parents. I mean that. So let's talk more about it. Okay, during class, you really need to put your best face forward. Now, I just talked about checking your physical appearance of your face, right? But I mean that you need to have a genuine smile. Parents can tell if you are smiling and it's plastered on, or you're smiling because you're really happy. And I can give you some tips on that too. So I actually learned this tip from one of my referrals, Ileana, and I helped her get hired. She's actually on her 2nd contract now, and I checked in with her today, and she's still doing this trick, okay? So basically what she did is she posted a picture of her kids, her son and her daughter, who are adorable. She posted a photo of them behind her webcam so that she would be less nervous during class. And kind of just because it was there, it gave her a genuine smile. I mean, I could see this smile, that it was genuine when she practiced for me. I could tell the difference in Ileana, and she has been wildly successful in gaining and maintaining these regular students. So whatever it takes to give yourself a happy classroom, do it. For me, I like to keep my workspace fairly organized, and I also, this is a recent addition, but it does make me smile. I have an essential oil diffuser. It's very quiet, it changes colors, and I change up the scent that's in there, and I love it. So that makes me smile. But I also have pictures of my family and my husband and my cat. I have lots of pictures and quotes surrounding me during class that encourage me. They give me a genuine smile. So whatever it takes to make your workspace happy, do it. I highly recommend it. It makes a difference. Okay, enough about putting your best face forward. You also ought to spend about 2 to 3 minutes at the start of class building rapport with your student. And I mean that as a true exchange. So now that you've got these beautiful pictures of people and things that matter to you that are surrounding you, use them. If you're meeting a brand new student, ask your student, this depends on the level too, but ask your student, do you have a sister? Do you have a brother? May I see your brother? Ask to see things. If you notice that your student is wearing a shirt with a character on it, ask about that character or share a picture of something that matters to you too. Think of it as an exchange. The student will probably not know how to ask you questions about what you like, but they'll be so curious to learn about this foreigner, right? What this foreign person likes. And it's even cooler if you can share that you also like the same things. So that's where it kind of comes in handy to be really talking with your student at the beginning. And I talk with my students at the beginning of every single class, at least 2 to 3 minutes. I know that probably sounds like a lot, but at the end of the day, parents are paying for you to help their students get comfortable speaking English and listening to English, and they are choosing you because you're a native speaker, right? So they really value that exchange, probably more than they value what's on the slides. Of course, still get through all the slides, but they really value that exchange. And I've gotten lots of positive feedback about the fact that parents like that I do that as a warm-up, that I talk with my student, I ask questions. If I've had that student before, I follow up on questions that we've talked about in the past. Oh, where is your brother? How was art class? What did you draw in art class? Can you show me? You should be showing a genuine interest in your student because they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I know that's cheesy, but it's true. So let me repeat it. Your student does not care how much you know until he or she knows how much you care. Let that sink in. All right, kind of going on that same note, I suggest that you use your student's name often. Use it a lot, more than you think you need to. If I knew your name, yes, you watching this, I would be using your name because you'd be more engaged, but I just don't know your name right now. So anyway, I got this idea. I think this is a fairly common idea, but in this book in particular, this book is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. In this book, he specifically cites the value and the importance of using a person's name in establishing a relationship. So I'm actually going to read you just the principle itself. The principle here says, remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. So by using your student's name, you are establishing trust, right? Not only are you engaging that student, keeping that student interested, but you are showing that you're not just teaching this class to a wall. You are focused on that student in particular. So use your student's name often. I've put the link for this book below. I love this book. It's one of my favorites and it's very powerful. I think everything in this book is relevant to influencing parents and your students and keeping them engaged. So I definitely recommend this. This is not just for teachers, this is for business owners, this is for stay-at-home moms and dads, this is literally for any person. So enjoy this book, I highly recommend it. Okay, so use your student's name often and then offer specific praise. So don't just use your student's name, offer specific praise to your student. So rather than always saying, good job, great job, or even adding the student's name, great job, Jimmy, I recommend that you be even more specific than that. So for example, oh, wow, Jimmy, great job using a full sentence, right? Then that parent is like, wow, good job, Jimmy. Yes, I know what you did well, even though I wasn't paying attention. And the student's like, look at me, I used a full sentence. So the student knows exactly what he or she did really well, okay? And then my last tip for during class is to bring it full circle when you say goodbye. What I mean by full circle is remember that rapport builder that you used in the beginning. And if you talked about, what your student would be doing, this weekend or something, if you had talked about something that the student likes to do, at the end of the class, bring it back to that, okay? So you can ask, Jimmy, what are you doing this weekend? Are you going to art class? Are you going to your art class? He'll say yes. Okay, Jimmy, enjoy your art class and I will see you soon. Always be sure that you mention seeing your student again, okay? That's really, really helpful. And then I have a note there, think of the class as an interview. I know that's kind of nerve-wracking, but think of it as an interview. You only get one chance at a first impression, and the parents will decide if they like you or not within the first few seconds. Now, you might be able to come back from some snafus that you have at the beginning, but if you have a really strong opening and then you maintain that energy level and that level of care, if you maintain that throughout the class, the parents will notice. They will seriously notice. Okay, so these are the things that you can do during class to attract and maintain your regular students. Let's see what you can do after class. After class, this is the biggest thing that I can recommend to you, is to create detailed feedback for the parents. Now, it doesn't need to take a long time. I typically spend about 5 to 10 minutes on my feedback. I know that might sound like a lot, but again, I've had parents specifically give me feedback saying, thank you so much for writing the feedback specifically for my kid. They can tell if you are simply using a template. Now, I do use templates, but I use the templates in Feedback Panda. I use the templates more as a guide for myself to remind myself what we used what we did during the classes, but I always bring it back to the student. So you need to ensure that every comment in your feedback means something. You're not just saying, this is what we did, then that is what we did, and then this is what we did. They don't need a play-by-play. A lot of these parents are watching the class. What they want to remember and to be reminded of is exactly what their student did well and did not do well, and what they can be working on. So rather than saying, we worked on, egg blends with these letters. Okay, rather than just saying that, say exactly which letters the student did well. I suggest you take some quick notes during the class. have a notebook to the side. Now that's not a notebook that you're, going like this during the class, but just jotting something quickly down, and you'll probably remember things when you look back at the feedback template. You'll remember things better because you can kind of jog your memory that way, but always bring it back to the student and what the student did. And then specify the progress the student made. So don't just say, the student did well with this, didn't do well with this. Cite something in particular that the student improved upon during that particular class. So maybe you can say, at the beginning of the class, Susan was not confident doing this skill, but by the end of the class, she demonstrated the ability to do it by herself. You don't need really complex sentences, but say something in particular that your student accomplished during your class in particular, because the students will think, or the parents will think, wow, this teacher, look at what this teacher was able to do with my kid. I want this teacher again. Okay, and then also state a plan for the future, what you will do with that student. Not if you book me again, we'll do this. Say, when I see your student again, we will tackle this, that, and the other thing. Okay, cite specific things that you will work on with that student, like assuming that you will see that student again. So it might sound a little aggressive, but keep it simple, keep it straightforward. And then the last point I have here is invite the parents to rebook you as their regular teacher. So to be completely honest with you, I almost exclusively teach regular students. And almost all of those students that I have, I met within my first 2 or 3 months of teaching. And they stuck with me. And I think that a big reason that they stuck with me is because I did all of the things I've mentioned in this video, but I also invited the parents to choose me as their regular teacher. I invited them to priority rebook me. Of course, they already know they can do that anyway, but I made a note in the feedback saying how much I wanted to be their regular teacher. That goes a long way. And the note I have on here is entice the parents to return by offering them a little more than the average teacher offers. So all of these steps, yes, they're a little above and beyond, but once you do them for a couple of students, you'll get used to it and it'll come like second nature. So I did tell you that I would be sharing kind of a controversial final thought with you, so let's check it out. Here's a final idea, and this was not my idea originally. This was a group of teachers at a meetup in Cleveland that we talked about this idea. So the idea is that we are all ambassadors. I'm not talking about the brand ambassador program. That's not what I'm talking about. Think about it. We are building a bridge between cultures that begins with our regular students. Okay, let's take that in for a second. So think about it. Let me give you an example. I have a regular student named Roy. I have an awesome connection with my student Roy. I see him twice a week. He's awesome. We play basketball together during class. Now, when Roy thinks about America, he thinks about me. I am an ambassador for America for my student. Now, when he hears the name America, or the country America when he's in school, do you think he conjures up some bad idea about America? Or do you think he has kind of a fondness toward America because of the connection he has with me? Think about it. Now, if you are already a VIPKid teacher, my guess is that you already feel a fondness toward China that probably was not there, at least not in this capacity, before you started teaching. So we are building the bridges for a whole new generation of people across the globe that they will immediately think, my teacher in America or my teacher in Canada is so kind. Americans must be kind. Canadians must be kind. It's building this bridge. It's such a bigger level idea than like just teaching a kid how to conjugate verbs. We are doing way more than that. So I hope that you let that soak in for a day or two, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it as well. So here are some next steps you can take. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you get notified. Like the video because I want to know what you enjoy watching. And then comment below with an answer to this question. What tip do you think helps to maintain regular students? Of course, you can comment whatever you want. You can ask me a question, whatever, give me an idea for a new video. But that's the question in particular that I'm curious to hear is what tip do you think helps you to maintain regular students? All right, so thank you so much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and yeah, I hope you get those regular students and you enjoy them as much as I think you will. All right, thanks. Bye.